former Georgia Congressman Doug Collins and former Trump campaign aide Rick Gates. Great to have you both with us. Again, would love to get your reaction. Rick, we'll start with you to this breaking news. Hunter Biden indicted on 3 criminal counts.
Well, it's certainly going to make the political election season a little more volatile and interesting, to say the least. Look, I think there are a lot of people that expected this to occur a long time ago. I think that David Weiss is in cleanup mode. He's got to make some responsible decisions. Maybe this is the first of hopeful more to come as the investigation unfolds. But it is certainly, I think, a scenario where, in part, some of the Democrats are pushing Hunter Biden out there to potentially cover up for the impeachment inquiry that's also getting ready to begin, to almost separate Joe and Hunter, again, as we get into election season, in order to potentially protect Joe Biden on this front. So there's a lot of interesting discussions that are going to be had, obviously, over the next days, weeks, and months, not just about this situation, but about the entire political environment and how all of these indictments are going to impact the election.
Doug, your thoughts as an attorney and a former member of Congress?
I'm frustrated. I mean, these charges should have been made a long time ago. This is a first-year law student in the district attorney's office, could have made these charges years ago. And now we finally get to it. I think there was only pressure that they actually got to this charge. My frustration also stems from the fact that they let the statute of limitations lapse on most of the tax charges. I mean, this has just been a botched episode from day one because Hunter Biden is Joe Biden's son. There's no other way around this. And, look, if they do add on some FARA charges, the foreign advisor charges, I mean, fine. But where were these a long time ago? Why is it taking to this point? So for me, yeah, I'm glad that they're finally getting around to what they've been charging normal people with forever, if you would. And I say this, people who never make the headlines when I mean that, good people, and they've been making these kind of charges across the country for years. Why was it so different from Hunter? So yes, I'm glad that they finally got around to it. I have no concept of fairness from David Weiss at all, especially as an independent counsel. I think he's trying to get this off his plate as fast as he possibly can. And that's the problem that we're seeing too much of when it deals with the Biden family. And it's just frustrating as we go through here.
Rick, you mentioned, of course, this will make the campaign season more interesting, I'll say. And, of course, you're a former Trump campaign aide. So we know that President Biden will be speaking in the next hour or so, touting Bidenomics. And, of course, with this news just breaking, how does that impact President Biden, who really is doing more of a campaign event today rather than a presidential one?
Yeah, look, I think this thing could unwind very quickly if he takes questions. My gut is going to tell me that he's going to make the presentation and they're not going to allow him to take questions and get him off stage as quickly as possible, even though reporters will yell questions at him, which they absolutely should do. Look, the White House has to be held to account. The Biden family has to be held to account. They need to respond to these questions, even if they have something to say, along the lines of, well, we're looking into this. They're not being responsive at all. And that is part of the problem why Democrats, not Republicans, but Democrats, are saying Biden should not run. And I think this is an important point that we need to watch for this afternoon.
Do you think Hunter could end up, well, we don't know how this will shake out, but could he end up facing prison time here, Doug?
It could, yeah. I mean, there's always the possibility of that. But again, given his record, there's all things that will be taken into account here if it ever gets to that point, or he pleads guilty, or they go through a trial. But yeah, it's just a matter of how they go about it. But again, I have no faith that David Weiss or his team will actually, push this in the way they would if Hunter Biden's name had been Jim Smith or Susie Bell or whoever you want to call it. I just think it would have been approached differently. I agree with Rick on one thing, though. They're not going to let Biden anywhere close to questions from the reporters. Could you imagine? I mean, last week he was overseas and couldn't get through a press conference. And with this kind of stuff, I think it does hit on something, though, that this could be a push toward, is Biden actually going to run? There's still so much talk about that. Yeah. I don't hold out hope that it will, because I think there's too many people invested in Joe Biden and not enough around everything else. But again, the press will play this for a couple of days, mainstream, and then they'll go back to, just focusing on Donald Trump.
Well, we know that the presser, which we plan on taking part of, we know it'll come to an end when he says he has to go take a nap.
All right, so hang on. What was my question again? Who was I supposed to ask? Who was I supposed to call on?
Excellent point there, Rick. I'm wondering, though. President Biden, we know, is very close to his son. It seems to get very distracted when anything related to Hunter comes up. So again, I just can't imagine how this might affect him emotionally, or even his ability to be anything other than distracted, more than he usually is at anything he's doing, especially in a very public moment today. I'm just thinking of the psyche, particularly for President Biden.
Oh, absolutely. This has got to be devastating. On top of, again, the impeachment inquiry news, now his son, who he has protected, most of his life, and whether it's out of guilt or whatever feeling, has coddled Hunter to a point that he's gotten him in this situation. And I think that's going to be very hard for him as a father, as I think any father would be disappointed. But at the same time, this example of what happened to Hunter is exactly why we've seen this 2 tiers of justice system in our country. And to kind of exasperate it to this degree, I think it is going to be difficult for the American people to see if Hunter is not brought to account. That is going to absolutely damage our legal system even further.
15 seconds, Doug. Final thoughts, sir.
Yeah, I mean, it's about time. I think that's the best way to put it. It's about time. I'm very frustrated. It's exactly what Rick said. This is a 2-tier system of justice. See it on display, frame it, put it on a wall. That's what it looks like.
All right. Doug Collins, Rick Gates, thank you, gentlemen.